Let it record. Okay. So, Kristen, I've made you co-host. If you can accept that, and then if you want to share your screen, you can do so. It looks like it's working.
Oops. Are you able to see?
We see, here it goes. Yes, we see your presentation.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so I'm going to mute myself and turn it over to you.
Alrighty, I'm Kristen Young. I have my own financial services practice. My office is in Cherry Creek, but I do live here in Bailey. I actually moved here from California about 9 years ago, and then I lived up here for a little bit and moved down to Denver and came back up here just a little over a year ago. Not really a city gal, so came back up to this area and just trying to get to know everyone. And this is something that this is a way that we work with our clients, and what it is, it's a tax diversification strategy. So really what we do is we want to try to put more money in your pockets while you're in retirement. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. I will warn you guys, some of it is I have different people when I explain it to them, it goes right over their head. Some of them, they're not really sure. So if you have any questions at all, do not hesitate to ask. Also, of course, there'll be recording, so you can kind of go over it again. And then you can also, give me a call if you want to really talk about, what the heck was I talking about, pretty much. So to get started, this is our wealth accumulation strategy, and we call it our macro asset perspective. So it's also known as the map. And what this is designed to do is to give us a visual of where our assets should be placed and why. So we're going to have a vertical arrangement of boxes, which represents our vertical diversification. So that will be your safe, your moderate, and your aggressive arenas. Now, no matter who you guys might talk to, it could be your CPA, could be a stockbroker, it could be someone like me. I'm sure that they're all going to talk of these three broad areas of diversification. And I'm sure that most of you would agree, well, it is a good idea to diversify in some sort of way. So a reason why we're going to start diversifying is if we draw a line right through the middle, we're going to accumulate our assets above the line. And we refer to those as our paper assets. That's because the value of them typically isn't fixed until the time that they're sold. So if you guys look at, if anyone has a 401k, if you look at that and it's invested in stock or stock mutual funds, you'll notice that that value of it will move up and down, all depending on number of factors that are out of your control. We do always want that value to move up, but in reality, it will move both directions. Now, if we accumulate assets below the line, that's what we're going to refer to as our real or stable wealth. And that's because these values typically don't go down, but they will remain relatively stable, and they usually pay some sort of interest or dividends. Now, when it comes to both of these assets, what we do is we have a personal diversification, and that's going to depend on a number of factors. It's going to be your age, your risk tolerance, your holding period. But generally speaking, the older you are, the more you might have below that line in that safe area. So, for example, if someone is 20 years old, they might have that 20% below and that 80% above. And then vice versa, if you are 80 years old, you might have more 80% of your assets saved and you'll have 20% more aggressive. And so, in fact, that Wall Street rule of thumb will suggest too that you have a percentage of assets equal to your age more in that safe asset. So, in addition to managing risk, one of the great things about this vertical diversification is we want to eventually change our paper assets, which are above that line, into our real wealth over time as we go on. And so, while vertical diversification's been around for a long time, another thing, which is why you'll now see the 6 boxes, is going to be our horizontal diversification. So all that horizontal diversification does is it actually talks more about your tax treatments, which I'm sure you guys are very familiar with. We have our pre-tax and we have our after-tax. Now, I'm sure most of you are familiar when it comes to the pre-tax. We have our 401ks, We have our deductible IRAs, and then we also have, which are not as common anymore, but our pension and profit sharing plans. Everything else that we do would pretty much go over on the after tax side, where that money that you are investing and earning is going to be that after tax asset of it. Now, when it comes for years, when it comes to saving money, I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard that we really want to focus all of our efforts on that pre-tax component side. So, maybe pump all the money we can into our 401k, our deductible IRAs, anything that would be considered our pre-tax component. I'm not sure of how many of you guys actually know what that advantage was, but they used to say something where, while I'm in my high income earning years, I want to defer my taxes at a high tax bracket so that later, when I go to take that money out, I'll be in a lower tax bracket. So that's a lot what people used to do who are either in retirement today or are getting close to retirement. And it's a great way that that strategy used to work. However, it's a little different now. So bear with me. I'm not sure if anyone's going to know this answer, but does anybody know what the top marginal tax bracket was back in the 80s? It was 70%. And that's because there were actually 15 tax brackets. And so in those days, if you did earn a little bit more, it was really easy to just jump up a bracket or two. Same with if you earned a little less, you fell down just a few brackets. So people in those days who were earning around $150,000, they were in a tax bracket that was actually above 50%. So it was very easy again to move up and down different tax brackets. And so their thought in retirement was, you know what, I actually won't need $150,000. I can actually live off of $100,000 while I'm in retirement. And it was absolutely correct because they were deferring their taxes in that 50, 60, or 70% to pay today at a 22 or 24% tax bracket. So that was like the main strategy and it was working great. Today, however, if there is somebody or a couple who they're making around $150,000 to $100,000, they actually drop zero brackets. And that's because today there's just 7 tax brackets, of which the highest is 37%. So it just doesn't automatically work to be in that lower tax bracket in retirement like it used to anymore. And another very real issue, which again, nobody knows what the tax is going to be in the future, but of course, everyone only sees it going up. So today, if you're deferring all your taxes in a 22 or 24% to then later pay in a 30, 40, or 50, well, that's a huge mistake. And it's just not really making that old mantra that we focus on really work anymore. So one of the main things that, people may ask is, okay, well, how do I deal with that potential problem? One of the main things is, you don't want to go out and cancel your 401k. The pre-tax side is still a great way to accumulate wealth. You just want to make sure that you are properly diversifying your portfolio overall. Does that make sense for everyone so far? Any questions at all? Cool. So we're going to kind of dive in about a little bit more at the strategy. And so one of the ways that I work with my clients in this whole thing with it is that the plan is to accumulate dollars on both sides of the tax fence. So if we're going to assume in this example that somebody wants to live off of $100,000 in retirement, if we took all that money out on just the pre-tax side, I'm sure as most of you guys know, that's 100% taxable income, which is only fair since, you haven't paid the taxes on it yet. The only thing is we don't know what that can be. It could be the 22%, it could be 35%. It could be less, it could be more. So if you're taxing out on all that together, we want to make sure we want to look at it as, well, what if we just took out that 50,000 on that pre-tax side? Doesn't mean you're not going to take out 100,000 for retirement. We would still then take it out on our after tax side. And again, you already paid taxes on that, so it's actually going to be a 0% tax. You can see on the pre-tax side that that tax went down to 12%. And it's because since it's being taxed on just that $50,000, it's actually putting you in a lower tax bracket. So if you're going to have both of this together, the $100,000 from half of it on the pre-tax and half of it on the after-tax, you're actually getting a combined average tax rate of just 6%. So after all, the whole point of this is you don't want to be taking the money out today, but it's really to make sure that you have as much income as you can when you're in retirement. So that's more of how our strategy works. We're going to dive into the tactics about it. And if we focus first on our pre-tax component side, if we defy our 401k handbook principles of diversification, that means that we're going to focus all of our assets above the line. Again, that's those paper assets. There's three main characteristics on why we do this. The first one is, if you remember what the S stands for, is safety. And then the second would be liquidity, meaning that if you want to get your money today, you can have it accessible to you. And then the third is going to be our tax advantages. The biggest thing with tax advantages is just going to be the tax-free municipal bonds, which is going to be our biggest example. Now, when we're focusing on those above the assets, we don't need to actually worry about our tax advantages because we're being taxed on the product and not the plan. We also don't need to have the liquidity there because this money we actually can't touch until retirement anyways. But now when it comes to safety, I would argue that we do need some sort of safety, but the type of safety that we actually need in that above the line assets is going to be our I'm sorry, our long-term safety. And what that means is that that's just really going to be more so keeping up with inflation so that when we do need it, it's going to be there. So this is where my highly analytical drawing of the stock market comes in. And again, that's just making sure that it's going to be sitting there and accumulating over the time and focusing and making sure that we have it keeping up with our inflation side. So this is where our little star is going to come in, and this is our main box for our above the line assets. Now, my little bubble down there in the corner will remind me, one of the first rules of accumulation is to take that free money. That's going to be more focused on your 401k if that is something that you do have your employer. I'm sure most of you guys know that it's more so you want to make sure you're getting your company match and just taking that in as where you can go. Now, if we go to our after-tax side, we're going to actually keep focused on our lower quadrant. And those same three things that we had discussed, the safety, liquidity, and tax advantages, they may not have so much advantage over on our pre-tax side, but they actually do a tremendous value over here on our after-tax side. So we'll bring those over here. And I'm sure that most people are going to be like, okay, well, how do we, what are those? The first one I already gave you guys, again, it's that municipal bonds, and it's really more focused, again, if you're at or you're near retirement. The second one is going to be cash value life insurance. And then the third is going to be either a Roth or a Roth 401. Again, it's more of that conservative with those just because you are in your safe assets. Now, a lot of people are going to ask, which ones is the best? Again, the municipal bonds, more close for retirement. Cash value life insurance is a great one if you have time to accumulate and if you're healthy and can qualify. Also, if it's something that you have someone dependent on your income. And then our Roth IRA, although it's a great thing down here, we actually are going to focus more up in our higher quadrant in just a minute. Something that I want to point out that most people want to compare is you really don't want to compare your assets of your safe money compared to your risky money. I like to say it's the same thing as a Jeep and a Ferrari. If they're in a race, the Ferrari's always going to win. You just want to make sure that whatever that number is that you have below the line is doing the best rate of return that you can do. It won't always outpace what's going to be above. So now, because the Roth capabilities, we are able to move this up to the top. And that's, again, making sure that we are satisfying our below the line when it comes to that safety. So our primary focus over here is really going to just be pure and simple growth, and that's just being in the market. So, what are those? It can be an employee stock pension plan. This is actually another great thing when it comes to the first roll of accumulation. Instead of taking the free money, it's actually take the discount. This is something, again, they're not as popular anymore, but if you can get in that stock market with your employer, it's a great way to do it. Or also just being in the stock market. And then we also have real estate, we have businesses, it can be investing in businesses, it can be starting your own business. And then we have commodities, so gold, silver, oil, cryptocurrency is a really, flavor of the month type of thing right now. And these are the main things that we're going to focus over there. But over time, what we do is we do something called a funnel approach. So as the market goes up and down, you will start out at 50-50%, so to make yourself even. But over time, you might have the market might be doing better, so you might end up being a 60% and a 40%. So what we do is we would then funnel some of your assets. Again, if you remember me saying, we want to make those paper assets into your real wealth. So we would funnel those down to make you an even 50-50 again. Now it could go the other way. You might be 60% more safe and you have more time and you want to funnel them back up. That's something else we do. And we just take this approach all together just to make sure that you're at the point that you want to be at. Now, another thing that we want to do again is you want to make sure that you are actually that vertically, so that 50-50 on that right and left. There are some people who today they might be making about, $500 or $400,000, and then in retirement they want to have that 300,000. Well, we don't want to make sure that they're taxed on that 150. So we would actually shift them a little bit more to the 70-30%. But most people are going to be about a 50-50, depending on what they're comfortable with, what their risk tolerances are, anything along those lines, that making sure they're just getting to, again, saving the most money that they can while in retirement. And if you look here, what we'll do is we'll make sure that 50% on the pre-tax is going to be that vertically and horizontally. But if you are, say, a 25-year-old, you might have that 25% above and then the 25% below. And you can see all together, it gives you that 75% up top and the 25% below. That's really the most aggressive that we would have anybody do. But most people, again, we're going to be going back to this 50-50, and that 50% will be focused on that pre-tax side. So this is how we work with our clients, and it's something that, we then take all of their assets that they do have, and we really just make sure that we draw their own individual map and just see where they're at and maybe what assets do we need to add or move around to make sure that when it comes to that retirement, that they're actually making more money in the end. And that's it. That's all I got for you guys. So, oh, I can't hear you, Deb.
Yeah, my fingers weren't working. That's a lot of information, and I know that this recording is going to be helpful so that we can go back and review it, because it's like, whew, for me.
It is. And I also have a little form that I can actually email to you. It basically takes all that information and kind of puts it in kindergarten language, makes it a little easier. And that's why I said it's like this is kind of a hard thing sometimes, because it's like it's so much where you're like, I get it, but I don't. So that's why I'm like, anytime people have questions, feel free to ask, because it is a little confusing, but it's just a great way to understand that, the simplest thing by just moving some of your money around, it actually helps you to make sure that you're making the most while in retirement. So
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And thank you. Yes, please send that off. And then when I
okay.
send the recording off, I will include that, and as well as your contact information, because I have a feeling that we're going to have some.
Yeah.
Does anybody need to unmute and have a question now for Kristen with the Y? No?
I assume in the link you'll send out information about you, your company. Like you said, if it's like a intro link or something like that, because I actually am looking not only for myself who's behind, but for my daughter who's 20 to actually not let her be behind. So
Yeah, I'll have my information on there, and then Yeah, I'll send my email and my phone. So whatever, it's, you can text me, call me, or email me, whatever's easier for you. So
Awesome. Thank you.
And Kristen is listed on her website, so at any time, if you've forgotten who it was, just peruse the website, go to the directory. You can connect to her through there. So that's good. Rachel, I see that you've unmuted. You have something to add?
Oh, I was just gonna tell everyone thank you and tell Kristen thank you so much and see if anybody had other announcements at the end, but no.
Perfect. Let me just, yeah, so certainly let's open it up. I know that Sabrina's got some announcements. We can talk a little bit about the upcoming retreat, Laura, since we have some extra time here. So Sabrina, do you want to add what you just put in the chat?
Yes, I was just helping Nicole there answer a question, but yes, so we have our community wellness program with Peaceworks, and that's available to all members in the community. You don't have to be a survivor of violence to experience that, and Tasman's graciously hosts that on Wednesday evening. So tomorrow night is the restorative sound bath, which Brenda and Carrie Brewer will be doing, and I'm excited because Brenda's been out from hip replacement surgery, so she is back. And yeah, we just try to do as many things that we can to help increase personal well-being in the community, which influences those safe homes.
Perfect. And Pat had mentioned the upcoming happy hour. Our goal, Pat's going to be working with our nonprofits, which I'm pleased to say we have 6 or 7 nonprofits that we're going to be working with this year, and scheduling different events, maybe every other month, happy hour, so that we can support the nonprofits. Am I correct, Pat? You have to unmute.
Wasn't prepared to talk again. Yeah, we are going to be working with the nonprofits, and first of all, it's going to be Peaceworks, and in November, it'll be Mountain Resource Center, and from there on, we'll try some of the others, see what they need and how we can support them.
Perfect. Yeah, it's our goal to support as many as we can. Laura, why don't you give us I know that email is going to go out in about 15 minutes, but let's give them quick tips.
Yeah, before I do that, I wanted to also share just some updates that are happening on the website. We've grown so big over the last year and a half. So we're going to be revamping the directory. So it'll be easier to navigate, easier to find people, easy to sort by categories and stuff. So keep an eye out for those changes, as well as we announced some of the new board members on the website about page. And just if you have any suggestions or see anything that could be tweaked or fixed, let us know so that we can make it better for everybody to use and engage with. And as a reminder, you guys can post all of your events on the website. That helps the Mountain Women in Business website, as well as it helps your business. The more you can share your website link other places, the more it will get traction. And we have a really large audience. So if you want your events to be well attended, go ahead and post them. Just try not to post anything that's too reoccurring that just clogs up the calendar, so that we can make room and space for everybody to share their events. And then on that note, Deb and I and the whole board have been behind the scenes trying to plan a women's retreat, primarily for the members. Because the space is limited, we want to give all of our members a chance to register first. So at 9:30, after this call, the email will go out with the details to the landing page that has the full agenda on there. We're going to be doing an amazing Enneagram workshop with Beth Genezer. Is that how I say her last name? Maybe. Anyway, Beth's
I think it's Geyser, but it's fine.
Geyser. Okay. She is a amazing career coach and life coach, I think, as well. And she's going to be doing the Enneagram profile or Enneagram assessment with us. And for those of you that don't know what it is or haven't done it, it's a personality or a profile assessment that helps you not only understand yourself better and how you communicate and how your brain operates and how you think, but also how to communicate with other people that are different Enneagram types and numbers. I'm an 8, so you'll learn about what an 8 is and how to deal with somebody that's like me. And it also helps you understand that you're not, well, you are unique, but there are a lot of people that are just like you in your personality type that helps you navigate your life. So I'm really excited about that, as well as an additional breakout workshops. So we have a couple of different members that are doing breakout workshops as well. We're going to be doing herbal facials with Paula. We're going to be doing floral framing with Kat and paint, I think, wine glasses with Michelle. So you get to choose which one of those that you want to do. We're going to have a happy hour. We're going to have team building exercises and things just to kind of bring us together. There is an option for just to do the daytime retreat and not sign up for the overnight, but we're going to be staying at Glen Isle Resorts. And if you haven't heard about it or been there, it's an amazing historic lodge and cabins in Bailey, Colorado. I've had the pleasure of getting a tour recently from one of my neighbors, and I just love this place. It's really kind of special. So we have, I think, like 5 or 6 cabins to choose from. And the first people that register get the best rooms or cabin selection. So you select your cabin and then you duke it out with your roommates for who gets the best beds in the room. No. But we are going to assign it as first come, first serve, but I think it'll be really fun. And then we're going to do breakfast, yoga, and a hike the next day, depending on the weather. And it's going to be October 18th and 19th. So the daytime is going to be Friday, I believe Friday at
Start at 11.
and it's going to start at 11 o'clock. And so you can do just the daytime on Friday, or you can stay the night with us and do the full experience as well. And that would be
And Glen Isle does campfire food truck. They have the best burgers. It comes
They do
from
have good burgers.
her own ranch, so she gets the meat from her ranch. But that's tonight. So the Tuesday nights they do that through the summer. We have today. Some of us have to be
Yeah,
there.
if you want to go check out Glen Isle, today's the day to do it, because
Today's
Krystin
the day to go, because then you can
tours and
see, they'll
everything.
open the lodge,
Yep.
so you can tour it, and then they might do the campfire again next Tuesday. But Tuesday night, I know some of the ladies are bringing the kiddos, and even as an adult, you go. It's
It's
just
fun.
a lot of fun to sit
Yeah.
around the campfire, have a burger, a dog, get a tour, see what it's all about. So perfect. Thank you, Laura. So we'll watch for that email. Like I said, if you have any questions,
Excited, yeah.
email, send it to us. We'll answer it for you. I think Beth, are you still with us? Beth wanted to do an announcement before we shut down.
I don't see
Yeah,
her. Oh, there she is.
I'm here. Yeah. I am doing a monthly class, health class, just different topics. On the second Thursday of the month at Mountain Resource Center. It's from 2:45 to 4:15 in the afternoons. I'd love to have you guys come. I've all planned just a community axe throwing event down in Sheridan, basically 285 and Santa Fe, on September 8th. And would love to have you guys come with that too. If you want more information, just shoot me a text or an email. And I would love to come to the retreat, but I am actually having my 5th and final skin surgery, October 15th. So I will probably be a little under the weather, but I hope you guys have a blast.
Understand. Well, good luck to you. And then after you guys go do the axe throwing with Beth, pop me a note. I've got my own axe throwing target on my yard, so we can follow up with that and have an axe throwing night, Beth.
We built one in our yard too, so I'll be doing more of those.
So come over here.
They're so fun. Fun. All right, Rachel, before we sign off.
I've always wanted to try either that or one of those smash rooms. I think they would be so much fun and cathartic sometimes. So I'll try to see if I can come on the 8th. I too, sadly, am going to miss the retreat. I've been booked since February with some elderly pet clients that whole week, the 13th through the 20-something. But I hope you guys have a blast, and hopefully we'll schedule another one next year too. maybe we can make it an annual thing. Any other announcements?
I think we're good. All right.
Good.
Well, thank you, everybody. Kristen, again, thank you so much for sharing your information. I'll get the Zoom link out with the things that you sent to me. And we'll see everybody here in a social, but go to the website. The socials are there, the events are there, and send them off to us and we'll add some more. So you guys have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Holler if anybody needs social networking help also. I helped Dawn Avery recently and her business is booming, so I'm so thrilled.
You're good.